All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. With me again today is a very special guest, and I can't wait to introduce him to you. And before we get started, I just want to share a little bit about our guest, and we'll dive right in. Part of his work is that he's part of the new generation of spiritual visionaries and thought leaders. He is the #1 best-selling author for Emergence, 7 Steps of the Radical Life Change, which reveals the revolutionary principle in the law of emergence, showing people how to tap into their pattern of perfection in any area of their life and create a right conditions for it to unfold. And also the Abundance Project, which is a 40 days of more wealth, health, love, and happiness, where he lays out the time-tested system of activating the abundance principle, which sets you free from the belief that outer conditions determine your life and shows you how to generate everything you need, no matter what conditions you face. He's also from a very diverse background, including training top executive at the Fortune 500 companies such as American Express, Walt Disney, and who is really empowered in working with in leadership and communication and coaching celebrities as well, media professionals, even Oscar and Emmy winners, on creating conscious entertainment. As a contributor to top blogs, a frequent podcast guest, and the host as well of his own top-rated Emergence podcast, he shares cutting-edge spiritual principles and success strategies to help you achieve financial freedom, master productivity and creativity, and live your greatest life's work at the highest levels of success. So please help me, without any further ado, welcome Mr. Derek Rydall.
It's
Welcome to the show,
Rydall,
Derek.
actually, but unfortunately, we're out of time now because that resume was too long. So
You are great. I feel like it's too short for what you have been doing your whole entire life, for the contribution, everything that you've been up to. So could we, if you don't mind, dive right in? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've certainly been up to something. My life, it's hard. I've been on many journeys. So, what to you feels like the most relevant thing to start in terms of what brought me here? Is that what you're interested in knowing?
Yes, absolutely. So please, like what is your story and what inspired you to embark on this path and continue to work towards where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like so many people, I struggled for many years to heal myself and, get over my childhood and improve my life and figure out a way to do what I love and make a living doing what I love and all of that. And my experience was that the more struggling and efforting or attracting or whatever I tried to do, the more stressed out and frustrated I became. And in my particular instance, it drove me ultimately to become addicted to drugs and alcohol. It drove me to almost die of an overdose. It drove me almost to die a second time. So it took me nearly dying twice to finally get cracked open, I guess, my skull. My brother always said I had a big head, and I guess it was a pretty thick one too. But in my experience of this final, like a cracking open moment, what I saw was that I was nearly drowned in this moment, actually. And I had this vision, this flash of light. And I saw that this guy that I was trying to fix and improve and make him good enough and worthy enough, that he was a fiction of my imagination. He was a combination of parental fantasy, of social pressures, peer pressures, societal conditioning, all the ideas of what I should be or what I have to be or what I can't be. And there was nothing that I would ever do that would make him enough. But simultaneously, I saw that there was another self there. And this self had never been damaged. And so he didn't need to be fixed or healed. And this self was already complete. And so it couldn't actually be improved upon. You could call this a mystical experience, a moment of awakening, the veil parted. And it was just a split second. But it shifted me so radically that I ended up pulling out of society basically and tried to become a monk. And the monk life wasn't quite right for me either. I tried to do it, and I was fasting and silent in a monastery for about a week until I started to go crazy and broke into the monk's kitchen and stole food out of their refrigerator. And so it was not a good experience as a monk, but I realized that I wasn't meant to be out of the world. I was meant to be in the world, like I know people watching here are, but to do it in a different way. And I saw that this realization that I had was that most of our efforts to improve our lives and struggle and all that are actually a lot of the resistance to the life that's actually already in us, that's trying to emerge. And that's what I talk about in the book Emergence. And I saw that just like the oak tree is already in the acorn, or the apple tree is already in the apple seed, or the rose bush is already in the rose seed, the apple seed or the rose seed doesn't go out and achieve success or try to make its life happen or attract roses to it or even deserve or earn it. What happens is when the conditions are congruent with what's already in the seed, it naturally unfolds. And I saw that the same thing is true with us, that we already have a divine purpose, a destiny, a potential, and that seed of our being already has everything it needs. Just like a great seed of an idea has everything it needs if you unpack it. And instead of us running around and trying to do too many things or trying to be what everybody else thinks we should be or trying to not rock the boat or all the ways we try to navigate and cope, we have to have the courage to know what we really are made of and what we're really made for, and have the courage to be in integrity with ourselves, to honor our deepest truth, to honor our greatest desires, and to create the conditions in our life, inside and out, that are congruent with who we really are. And my experience is if you do that, no matter what the outer conditions are, no matter what the economy is, no matter what your bank account currently is, no matter what your husband or wife or whoever it says you should or shouldn't, or your parents or whatever, wherever you've come from, what side of the tracks you were born on, if you are willing to know what you're really made of and made for and be true to yourself, love, honor, value, and respect whether you believe in God or life, whatever has planted that destiny in you, if you respect that and you honor that and you are true to that, and you create a life that is honoring and true to that, it will blossom, you will flower, and you will flourish. And that's really the message I want people to understand, because we're going through some interesting times right now.
Yes, we are.
And they're going to continue to be interesting. And there can be struggles, there can be physical challenges, there can be economic challenges, but when you understand the principle that everything you need is already right here within you, and it just needs you to honor it fully. Life is already on your side. You just need to get on your own side fully. And then it starts to unfold. And we can certainly unpack that more in this call today.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do that. So where do we begin? Right. It's always the biggest question is yes. I know for myself, and I can speak for myself for sure too. And literally I just got off another interview like this with another speaker. We're talking about being in alignment. And you said that multiple times now with who we are and being in integrity of that. So because of the environment we are in, because of the social pressure and what we're supposed to be doing, it's all conditional. How do we begin to start that process of getting clear on who we are and what to start?
Yeah, and there's really only two master strokes, and that's know yourself and be true to yourself, right? And so the question is, you can't be true to yourself unless you know yourself.
Right.
And you can't know yourself unless you make being with yourself a priority. And that's hard for people, and that's especially hard for mothers. It's like, do you know what it's like to be a mother, Derek? It's like, well, I actually do. I had one and I had kids, but I also understand there's a lot of pressures to be a super mom or to be a super woman. And there's also a lot of baggage around that you should be selfless, that it should be about everybody else, that it's somehow wrong to be selfish, that it's wrong to take time for you, God forbid. And I work with probably 80% of my community are women. And so I know this deeply, and how difficult it is to really make yourself a priority, your self-care, your self time that you need to really develop yourself, just to know yourself. And it's difficult. And women are more naturally inclined. Men can be too if they have more of the feminine. It's really the feminine more than it is women. The feminine principle is very much about unity, about service, about taking care of. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And yet you have to integrate the masculine. You have to have structure. You have to have space. You have to be able to create the space that holds you. So that's the first thing. And some women are, and unfortunately it's hard to find the men that are strong enough to hold the feminine. And so the feminine can relax into her feminine. And if you don't have that, you can still cultivate that in your own life and develop the masculine, which just means structure and order and support. So that what can you create in your life if you don't have that? And if you have a man or a woman in your life, whatever the gender is, you still need that polarity. You need the structure that holds you, that supports you, that allows you to let go and allows you to go within more deeply, or to have self-care and to really nurture the source from which everything in your life is going to come. And it's not out there. It's not in anybody else. It's in you. But you have to create the space to nurture that. So that's the first thing. And be honest and understand that a lot of what's driving people, and what might be driving you that are watching right now, is unconscious patterns that you learned early on and that society has put on you. It's not your fault. You didn't cause them. But again, one of the things I call them is shadows. One of the shadows, as I already said, is selfish. And you have to be willing to embrace selfishness, the divine selfish. Just like, another way to think of it is if you breathed out all day, you would die, right? That's being generous. That's being selfless. I don't want to take any air from anybody. Let me just breathe out all day. And you would not survive. Likewise, if you breathe in all day, if you're holding everything too close, you also won't survive. You need a circuit. You need both polarities. You need to be giving and you need to be willing to receive. You need to be selfless and you need to be selfish. So that's one thing I would say is look at your life and see, is there a balance? Are you breathing in and out? Are you filling yourself up and then circulating it to the world? Or is it all just giving, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure, your energy? That's one of the most important things. And it will be difficult if it's not something you've done. So I would say that's the first step. Know what's driving you. Know what you're afraid. Ask yourself, what am I afraid is going to happen if I really make myself number one? And let me just also tell you something. And if you're married, I was going to write a book called How to Raise Your Marriage After Birth. And you could say the same thing, how to raise yourself after birth. Because what happens is the child takes center stage, as it should from an evolutionary and biological standpoint. But just remember, if you're not in the best version of yourself, you can't love and serve and support that child or that relationship at the highest, and ultimately your clients and your business. Right. And I know we know the one about when the oxygen mask falls, you put on, but I really want you to understand that's true. Yes. And it's true in every area. The child joins you. And if you don't make your relationship primary and your relationship with yourself primary, you don't have the capacity, you won't activate the potential to serve and love that child or your clients to the level that you can. In fact, you'll start pulling energy from the cells of your body. You don't want to do that. And you'll start pulling energy from other life structures like your finances, and you'll watch your wealth go down. So you have to feed and fuel and love and fill up. You are the guardian of your flame. You are the gardener of your seed of life. You have to make it number one, and everything will flourish and unfold. And on the more practical level, what are you modeling to your child? if you keep sacrificing, or if you don't make yourself number one, or if you don't model what it looks like to be a strong, healthy, sovereign woman with agency and confidence, who has therefore so much more to give away. One final thing, and then I'll turn it over to you. When we're growing, especially if you have this challenge of not making yourself number one, you tend to give away your roots instead of your fruits. And if you give away of the roots of you, the time, the treasure, the energy that belongs to you, that's to nourish the seed of your being, if you give away of the roots, you don't bear rich fruits. And then you end up having less for yourself and everybody, as I already said. But if you nourish the roots, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when people may try to manipulate you into making it about them, clients included, if you make it about serving and fueling and feeding those roots so that you grow a healthy tree of life and you blossom richly, then you can give away of all the fruits. Because the fruits, a tree doesn't need the fruit. All the fruit on a tree has no value to the tree. It has to give away the fruit. So you'll have more than enough to give away, more than enough to spare and share when you feed and nurture the roots of your life first and foremost.
That's the most beautiful way to describe how you can take care of yourself and get in alignment with yourself that I've ever heard. In your analogy with the tree and the fruits and bearing the fruits, it's so beautiful. And especially for our audience, for sure. I'm one of them. It's like, I'm a mom in business. Of course, I'm striving to grow and scale the business. It's so interesting that all the messages that we're really meant to hear, especially your audience who are listening, if you're hearing this message, is because you really are meant to hear it. I mean, especially for me right now, we're in the stage of business where we're going really fast, growing really fast, and expanding the team. But I was literally sharing with my accountability group that as much as I'm going really fast, doing a lot, I'm actually need to really scale down my schedule in the next quarter and work even less. And I mean half of the time, because the demands of my family and everything else in my personal life, it's really calling as well. And so I love your message, your loving, like the loving way of sharing it, but it's like, it's not it's very urgent that we take care of it, because then it bleeds into other areas of our life, and especially when it comes to our community and our clients and etc. Because otherwise we can't serve. So thank you so much for that.
I also want to, you're welcome. And I want to also say there's a couple of things that are coming through really strongly right now. And the world has had more than enough of ambition and of the masculine energy of conquering and achieving and gathering more. There is a disease of more. Now, it's not wrong to want to express your full potential. It's not wrong to want to have a beautiful, abundant life. Let me be very clear. It's not only not wrong, it's truly your destiny. Look at nature. There's not just enough leaves on the trees and just enough stars in the sky and just enough grains. Oh, let's just have just a few grains of sand. No, it's abundant. It's like, holy moly, life is just abundant, right? So I want to be very clear. Your destiny and your birthright is abundance. But what I see happening is what's needed now, and what's actually happening now, is the rise of feminine power. And the feminine leadership and feminine power is not the same as masculine leadership and masculine power. I know, it's like, I know who I'm talking to. It's a different kind of power, right? A mother doesn't get pregnant and gestate a baby and give birth by, let's go out and make this baby happen, guys, come on. It doesn't work that way. It's a receptive quality. It's a nourishing and a nurturing sense of leadership. It's, I know what my child needs. It's, I know I need to feed this thing that's growing in me. I need to create the space that welcomes it. Don't make it happen, make it welcome. You can't make a baby happen so much as you can make it welcome. And the chicken sits on the egg, doesn't go out there and let's get some eggs, guys. It's like it rests, it creates the nest, it creates space. It seems inactive, but
Mhm.
it's the most powerful action in the universe. It creates the space and it feeds that seed. And lo and behold, while everybody else is running around trying to make stuff happen, life, the greatest thing, happens right there where that woman is. And I just want to remind the women that is a lot of temptation
Mhm.
to keep up with the Joneses and to make it in a man's world and all the stuff online. That's a lot of pressure and a lot of temptation. We see young girls with all kinds of eating disorders and all kinds of
Yes.
challenges and all these things because they're looking at Instagram famous and Instagram beauty and Instagram success, and they think they're failing. And so I
Mhm.
really want to encourage people to understand most of what the world is telling you is a lie. Most of what the world is telling you you have to be, do, achieve, or have in order to be successful, happy, worthy, lovable, and in love is false. It's all a core wound of a sense of separation from who we really are. And here's the truth. With all the things we're going after, and again, it's awesome. Build a big business, do all the wonderful things.
Right.
But what you're really going after with a little introspection is actually a state of being. If you
Yes.
look a little closer, we will see that the reason why we want all the things we want is we believe it'll make us feel a certain way. No, I
Mhm.
think it'll give me the money to have my house. Okay. And then why would you want that? Because then I can have a beautiful home. And why do you want that? Because then I can finally relax and feel at peace. Ah,
Mhm.
so peace, security, self-worth, a sense of connection, a sense of aliveness, a sense of joy, fulfillment, freedom. That's what we're actually going for.
Right.
And there is none of those qualities in the world. No amount of money, I've made millions, doesn't make you free, doesn't make you happy. No amount of clients I've spoken to and touched hundreds of thousands of people doesn't make you happy, doesn't make you free. I know this is hard to hear for some people. Um, it's not to say it's not awesome. I've written and published multiple books, sold millions of dollars in programs, been around, I've done all this stuff. You know, maybe it's not Oprah level, but I've done the things to see that you think if only I have this much, then. If only I make this much, then. If only I achieve this, then. And all I want to hopefully get across is what we're really going after is a deeper state of connection to ourselves, to what really matters, not to matter itself, and to a sense of joy and peace and love. And the awesome thing about that is you can intend and create a life that is designed to activate and fill you up with those qualities, regardless of what's going on in the world and regardless of how much you make or achieve or have. You can feel and have everything you really want. And from there, from a state of I have, I am, I'm worthy, I'm amazing, I'm powerful, life is amazing. Now watch how you create. Now watch the business that unfolds and the art and the beauty and the impact. Because what people are starving for is not another program on how to make money. What they're starving for, or anything, is a deeper connection, feeling seen, feeling valued, feeling heard and understood, feeling worth, feeling meaning. That's what they're starving for. And I'll finish with, there's a saying by a great teacher, Howard Thurman, who was Dr. Martin Luther King's teacher. And he said, don't ask what the world wants, ask what makes you come alive, and do that. Because what the world wants and needs are people who have come alive. And so that's what we really want, to be fully alive. And to do that, we have to serve the life within us until it's just, we're pregnant with it and we're giving birth to it. And then people around us will be like, who are you? What are you up to? How can I get some of that? Right? And
Yeah.
your business will flourish.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, the word congruent comes to me every single time I'm hearing you explain what it is to be connected to yourself and your purpose or whatever it may be. Is yes, connection and congruency is being who you are, being in integrity with that, and then being able
Yes.
just to let it allowing people to see that it's okay to be who they are, and we have all we need.
It's not
Everything.
only okay, it's what the world is hungering for. The
Yeah.
world that walks by a blossoming flower and they forget how much money they need to make. They're like, oh my God, look at
So
that beauty.
beautiful. Right.
And the divine feminine is the juice and the light and the life and the power. It is the only real force of life and power on this planet is the feminine. The masculine creates the structure to harness it, but the feminine is where all the juice is, where all the life is. So ladies, get juiced up, get
Yes.
turned on, get lit up, and watch as the world gathers around you to bask in your light, and you will get all the benefits of shining as well.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. All of your teaching and your wisdom. I feel like I felt like you were a minister in a way. I'm
I
getting
can't
a
help it. It's
sermon
true.
lesson. Truly, thank you so much for all of that wisdom. And in addition to your presence today and all of your knowledge, also the audience is being so, I guess this is such an honor because they also get to receive a couple copies of your books as well. The first one is a free training or the trainings rather, trainings to turn your life story into a legendary purpose. And then the second one is also a free training to self-mastery breakthrough with you. So thank you so much. I can't wait to get even my hands on it. And we'll include all the URLs and everything in our video and in post-production. But thank you so much for being here with us. It's such an honor to have such an enlightened, I would say, soul like yours to share with us of what's truly belongs to all of us, and that it's possible to have it all, but to really connect it to who we are, to the source, and believing that we are all we need. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, you are all you need. Yes, that's beautiful. You're welcome. And I'm going to include some other things, surprise free things to
Yeah,
help you basically do everything I just talked about. That's my goal.
awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
my dear. Much love.
Yes.